Welcome back, football fans. It's NFL Saturday edition. Starting off, we got Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Browning and the Bengals favored by 2 points in this one. So we'll start out with my co-host Nicholas Kerr. Talk to us about Bengals at Steelers.
Yeah, this definitely is not the QB matchup we expected earlier on in this year. We probably would have expected some Joe Burrow versus Kenny Pickett, but now we're getting Jake Browning versus Mason Rudolph. I don't know. These Bengals, they've won 3 in a row. Steelers have lost 3 in a row. I think that these streaks continue, and the Bengals end up winning this one close late. Yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals here.
Yeah, simply put, as Nick alluded to, Bengals and Jake Browning are playing really good, and I've actually watched these Bengals games, and they're doing good. They don't look like a team that's playing with their backup QB right now. Whereas the Steelers, I've also watched their last few games. They very much look like a team that's playing with some backup QBs right now. And it looks like it's finally gotten to Mike Tomlin of not having that transition quarterback from Ben Roethlisberger to now. It's finally caught up to him. And kind of like Bill Belichick, everybody thought oh, he's this mad genius that can just do it with whatever is on his roster. And that's not the case. They need to make some drastic moves on that roster, particularly on offense, to get things rolling. So I'm with Nick. I think this streak continues. Steelers starting to lose some credibility. Mike Tomlin, actually on the hot seat for probably the first time in his career, and I think that's only going to intensify after the Saturday game. So, me and Nick in agreement. Let's check in on with Mr. Parlay Reyes. Oh no! Back on the lonely island. Tell us why you're on the Steel City Island.
Mike Tomlin on the hot seat. Mike Tomlin getting written off December 2023. Write this down as the Steelers sneak into the playoffs this year somehow. Come on, man. We do this every year. The Steelers are winning this game. You know the Steelers are at home. They've lost 3 in a row. The Bengals won that game by the skin on their teeth with an incredible catch and extend by T. Higgins to force overtime against the Vikings last week. So it's not like the Bengals were in control of that game. And guess who the quarterback for the Vikings was? It was Nick Mullins. That's probably the quality of quarterback you're going to get for the Steelers, who I will say he was bad against the Colts last week, Trubisky. And Gardner Minshew, he had some moments against that Steelers defense, but bounce back game for the Steelers written all over it. They're at home. I have no idea why the Cincinnati's favored on the road. I just don't see that continuing with the Bengals and Jake Browning. We saw it fall short with Tommy DeVito against the Saints last week. After a couple of weeks, the tape gets out there on these quarterbacks, and then they know what they're actually facing, and they can go ahead and scheme you up, and you're just no longer able to succeed again. And I just don't think Jake Browning's a legitimate quarterback. The Steelers defense is probably going to take advantage of his inadequacies, and TJ Watt will make some game-changing plays. The Steelers win this game.
And what are the Bengals defense going to do with Steelers offense, where Mason Rudolph looks like a slight improvement for that team? You're not in a good spot. You have to admit that much.
They should have lost to Nick Mullins. I don't know if Mason Rudolph is the same as Nick Mullins. I'd say so. It was an incredible effort from the Bengals to beat the Vikings and Nick Mullins. I don't think that there's that big of a difference in that level of quarterback play between Nick Mullins and Mason Rudolph.
I think there might be, to be honest. And hey, for the viewers, just to bring them back in the fold, I got the same lecture last Saturday for picking the Colts, and who ended up winning that game? It was the Colts.
You also picked the Giants and Tommy DeVito against the Saints.
That's a different story, but still. I got the lecture about Mike Tomlin and how he's not picking against them in December, and so you keep riding on that, man. I'll let you have it. Next game up, we have Buffalo Bills, fresh off a victory against the Los Angeles Chargers. Buffalo on the road, favored by 11.5 points in this one. Tony, we'll kick it back to you. Speaking of fresh off that Bills loss, talk to us about Bills Chargers.
Well, the Chargers are at home with a new coach. They finally fired Brandon Staley. I had to go ahead and look this up before we went ahead and we're recording here. We talked about the interim GM JoJo, and Giff Smith, the interim head coach for the Chargers. So, I mean, did Kellen Moore turn down the job? Probably. That's what some speculation is. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers, but it feels like too many points. The new coach bump. I feel like the Chargers are going to cover this, probably lose by 10. Bills having to fly cross country, East Coast to West Coast on a short week. I think that goes ahead and goes in the Chargers' favor. Chargers have had more time to prepare. I could easily see the Chargers covering with the new coach bump.
Tony, we may not agree on many things, but I agree with you on this one. Yeah, like I don't know if you guys have heard of like the dead cat principle. Basically, if you throw a dead cat off a building, like it's gonna bounce at least once. And so that kind of applies to having a new coach on your team. Don't see the Chargers winning this, but as Tony alluded to, Bills having to travel East Coast, West Coast. They just had an emotional win against the Cowboys, and so like I think they're gonna have a little bit of a letdown. I think they probably end up winning this game by, I'd say, 7 or 8 points, but 11.5 points, like, let's not forget who this Bills team has been most of the season. That's giving them way too much credit, even if you're going against a Los Angeles Chargers team that's basically quit for the season. So, me and Tony are in agreement. Does Nick agree with us? No, he does not.
Nope.
Oh, he's on his lonely island in Buffalo. Tell us why you're taking the Bills.
I mean, I agree with a lot of the things you guys just said, because that coaching bump, I've agreed with it most of the year. Like, anytime a new team gets that new coach, or a team gets that new coach, it always gives them a bump within the first few weeks. But the last couple weeks, I've picked against this Bills team, and they've ended up winning. So I'm going with an opposite strategy. I figure if I pick them, maybe they'll go opposite and they'll lose. So that's why I'm picking the Bills.
There's the truth. I was wondering. I was like, why is this guy like? It usually takes like a lot for this guy to pick one of his divisional opponents. So, all right, a little reverse psychology. I like it. So we might as well just call this a family one. Cuban Diesel. All right, that was our Saturday games. Some, I guess. Some interest in these. We'll see how it goes. Get that last minute shopping done if you can.
Right. That's what you're really doing during these games.
Yeah, like Amazon ain't coming to you this late in the game, so you gotta go out to the stores, people. We'll be back tomorrow with the Sunday Christmas Eve games, and we'll go into those. And then, yeah, we have Christmas Eve, Christmas action that we'll have a special episode for that. So catch us later. Everybody, enjoy whatever it is you're doing, whether it's family, football, food, friends, whatever. Enjoy it today.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.